Member of the Republican House leadership, Illinois Congressman Peter Roskam. He serves as Chief Deputy Whip and also sits on the Ways and Means Committee. Joins us this morning along with John Harwood and myself at the White House. Congressman, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you.
Well, we already have the president wishing the speaker a happy birthday. I guess baby steps, right? Well, how do you think the tone is shaping up today?
I think the tone is good. Look, President Obama won on Tuesday last. The Speaker of the House went out a couple of days later, sincerely congratulated him, and laid out a pathway for the president to lead the nation on how to avoid the fiscal cliff and ultimately transform us into the world-class economy that we want to stay and maintain. So far, the language, I think, has been good. There's opportunities, I think, to find common ground and to get us out of this. There's no voices on the Republican side, really, that are saying, let's go over this fiscal cliff. Instead, let's find this remedy and let's move forward.
We've already gotten a trial balloon of sorts this morning from the Journal, various talks within the White House to revamp the sequester. As we go our way into Thanksgiving, obviously a holiday week, a shortened week, how attuned is your radar to some of these trial balloons, and which do you think are going to resonate?
Well, we're all very attuned to what's going on, but remember, the House of Representatives has already acted on both of these issues as it relates to the fiscal cliff by arguing let's extend the current rates for another year and use that as a bridge to tax reform, and we've already offered an alternative to sequestration. Now, the debate has shifted to wait for the president and what he might propose, but the lion's share of the administration's argument so far has been all on the revenue side, and the president's own admission, he said, look, it has to be a 3-to-1 ratio. $3 in cuts to every $1 in revenue. We've been discussing, wringing hands, chatting, talking about revenues, but the White House has not come forward with anything as it relates to the cutting side. House Republicans have acted with the Ryan budget in the past, have won majorities again, the second biggest House Republican majority since World War II, and ready to get to work, but we really do want to see the president lead on the spending side in particular.
Congressman, it's John Harwood. We've heard from the Speaker that Republicans are open to revenues. The question is going to be, can you get enough from loopholes and deductions, or does the rate have to go up at some point? The president hasn't drawn an absolute line at 39.6, but are Republicans willing to let the top rate go up at all if you can't get sufficient amount of revenue from loopholes and deductions?
Republicans aren't convinced in the House that the best place to go or the remedy is to raise taxes, to raise these rates. There's a lot of openness, as you pointed out, to revenues through growth, to revenues through the abolition or limitation of deductions and other loopholes. That's where the action is. And look, here's where it has an unbelievable opportunity to eclipse this entire debate and to be the transformational president that he described himself as when he was a candidate in 2008, and that's this. There is nobody that's defending the current tax code. There's no voice that's out there that says the current tax code is great. Instead, what the president can do is say, I don't want to litigate the old tax code. Let's bridge this now and move and have a transformational tax code. The House Ways and Means Committee, under Dave Camp's leadership as chairman, has been working on this and trying to focus in on how to make the United States the most competitive tax jurisdiction in the world.
Congressman,
that's an opportunity.
I just want to clarify one thing. You talked about growth. My understanding from what the Speaker has said is that he's willing to entertain static revenue, not just revenue from growth. Do you mean to suggest something otherwise, or are you also open to static revenue?
Yeah, static revenues is part of the conversation, clearly, and that's the deductions and the loophole effort. But let's not underestimate the power of growth in this whole debate. And I just keep coming back. I served with President Obama in the state Senate in Illinois, and I have had a perspective and an experience with him where I've seen him move beyond traditional donkeys and elephants on some controversial issues and be able to bring some winsomeness to the debate. I think the country is really interested in presidential leadership. He has talked a lot about the tax, or on the tax side. We need to hear more from the White House in terms of where these spending cuts are in order to gain a level of confidence among House Republicans, who also won big majorities last Tuesday.
Finally, Congressman, we're trying to draw a contrast between these negotiations and the last round. One difference is the degree to which corporate America has inserted themselves in this debate, whether it's the Fix the Debt group, whether it's the Business Roundtable. Do their arguments resonate at all with you, and do you think that their their view has been balanced between revenue and reform.
Their view is interesting, and of course they have influence and they need to be taken into consideration. But you know who gets lost in the shuffle in this conversation? It's the small business owners that are largely pass-throughs and LLCs that are clearly paying at the individual rate. So if the individual rate goes up and they're earning more than $250, then all of a sudden they're rich. That's a dry cleaner in my community who's now having a higher tax liability and looking at very little relief under the president's current plan. So yeah, big business always has a voice, but I think it's very important that we're listening to the little manufacturers in suburban Chicago that also need a voice.
Congressman, thanks for your time. Interesting day shaping up.